Hello! In this video, I will tell you many facts and details about CJ's stamina stat. Everything that can affect the development of endurance will be discussed, as well as the benefits that we receive when we gain a high level of endurance. I'll start with the basic things. Endurance or stamina is one of CJ's personal characteristics in GTA San Andreas video game. It is measured in integer units and can be increased to a maximum of 1,000 units. Any further growth of endurance will return the player to a value of 1,000 units, so as not to allow this number to be exceeded. But it is important to consider that endurance is a characteristic that cannot decrease and changes only by increasing. And here is an interesting fact. From the start of the game, we have 10% or 100 units of stamina stat. That is, our character appears with a value of 100, and since stamina can only change its indicator in the direction of growth, our character will never have stamina indicator less than 100 units. It is difficult for me to understand the reason for such a decision of the game developers, but I think that this should be taken for granted. There are some patterns that can be applied in your game, and know the conditions for increased stamina to make your own conclusions and calculate the required time to stamina, increasing from the minimum to the maximum value. 5 minutes of continuous running will increase our stamina by 5 points. 5 minutes of continuous sprint will give us 10 stamina points. But 5 minutes of riding any of the bicycles will add 50 points to our stamina. Also, for 3 minutes of swimming in water, we will get 50 stamina points. Walking, driving a car, fighting or standing still does not increase stamina at all. Also, the level of stamina is not affected by the current state of health, the presence of armor or weapons in hands, as well as the presence of a wanted level or the period of passing any mission. Bad weather will also not affect the stamina increase. Even with the jetpack on his back, CJ can run and increase his stamina level, but only if he does not try to fly. The increase of stamina while running works the same in all interiors and interior worlds. The concept of running means normal running without using sprint acceleration. It is important to understand that running and sprinting are two completely different ways of increasing stamina, which work separately and do not affect each other. With standard running, the player can use the sight of a light weapon, which allows you to run while aiming, and this does not affect the rate of increase in stamina. Running with a stolen item on a burglary mission is taken into account in the development of stamina, like normal running. The player can run not only on the ground, but also on a vehicle surface, and this will allow you to replenish stamina. Running on the roof or on the platform of a moving train does not take into account the distance we have covered and allows you to increase the level of stamina in the same way as running on a normal surface. Running can even be in the direction of any barrier or wall. The same running can be done towards any heavy vehicle that will not allow the player to overcome the distance. But by performing the running animation, the player will receive his endurance level increasing. This also works with swimming, when the player can swim into an obstacle and increase his endurance without overcoming the distance. Even trying to ride a bicycle into an obstacle with the acceleration button pressed will give the opportunity to increase stamina indicator, although in this case CJ does not even pedal. Reverse riding will grow our stamina in the same way as normal forward riding. Also, riding in a circle while pressing the gas button and turning sideways will increase endurance in the same way as normal riding. Even reverse riding in a circle will develop endurance. If you use regular jumps when riding a bicycle, this will not affect the standard increase in endurance. Constantly riding a bike at high speed make the time required to gain stamina bigger, so it would be wise not to use it. And cycling without pedal and acceleration in total does not replenish the stamina level. Unlike cycling, using acceleration while swimming will not affect the time to increase stamina. Also, underwater swimming has no advantages over standard swimming when it comes to stamina growth, but it will create difficulties due to the constant lack of underwater diving time, even with maximum lung capacity. But running with a slide using a weapon does not increase stamina at all, although in the character's statistics, this running style is counted as the distance on foot. But the best way to increase your stamina is to train on a treadmill and a stationary bike. The treadmill will be available to us from the moment the gyms open after the drive-through mission, and the stationary bike is available to us from the start of the game and is located on Verona Beach. The player can increase his stamina to the maximum level in just one in-game day, and I have training programs for you, thanks to which this can be made a reality. Since CJ starts his game with 100 units of stamina stat, I focused all my training programs on this starting value. If your stamina is more than 100 units, these programs will also be relevant, and the difference is that you will need less time to get the maximum value. Now you see a table of sets that need to be performed on a stationary bike without exceeding the number of meters within one set. If you exceed this value, CJ will get tired and will be able to continue training only when the next day starts at midnight. To avoid this, you need to leave the exercise bike at a certain distance and go beyond the radius of its presence zone to refresh the fatigue indicator and get the opportunity to start training again with fresh strength. In the case of an exercise bike or a treadmill, this is impossible to do in the interiors of the gym due to their size. The player will not be able to move away from the exercise bike at a sufficient distance to reset his fatigue. But as an alternative method, we can leave the interior of the gym and then immediately enter it again, resetting our fatigue level with this movement. Fatigue is also restored when moving to a new day of the week. It works so that if CJ was completely tired today, then starting from the first seconds of the new day of the week, his fatigue is reset. But if you do not reach the fatigue level limit and do not bring the training to a forced end, when moving to the next day, such fatigue is not reset, and the player can spend the small remainder of energy that he had and get a message that he is completely tired. There is no point in training during the transition between different days because the fact of fatigue is only counted at the moment the message about it appears on the screen and the forced end of the training. At this moment, the game remembers the current day and will no longer allow us to train until the next day comes. If we talk about training on a treadmill, it has a separate training program, thanks to which you can achieve the maximum result in one day. The treadmill has a larger range of required training time between 1st and 10th levels, but the principle of its use is the same. You need to stop training earlier than the value indicated in the table, and then leave the gym to move away from the exercise machines to reduce fatigue and continue the next training cycle. Some interesting facts. During running, sprinting, swimming, cycling, or during training on the corresponding exercise machines in gyms, the physical form of the protagonist does not matter. CJ can be thin, fat, muscular, or both fat and buffed, and this will not affect the previously mentioned time to increase the stamina indicator. But the weight and physical form of the CJ affect the player's running speed. It is also worth noting that during swimming, running, sprinting, or cycling, the stamina scale is replenished in portions, but this is only for visual demonstration on the screen. In fact, stamina is replenished in real time inside the game memory, and if you determine for yourself the distance, overcoming which we will receive a fixed reward in the form of increased stamina. The player will be able to take an unlimited number of breaks or complete stops. This will not affect the player's internal stamina counter in any way, and stamina will be replenished when the required distance is covered, regardless of any outside interference in this process. Also, the intermediate stage of stamina growth may remain after saving the game, but will not remain after loading the same save or after any restart of the game. The game remembers how many we have run or ridden a bicycle, but only within a continuous game session. The growth of stamina by running, sprinting, swimming, or cycling are not combined with each other and work completely separately from each other. If you ride half of the required distance on a bicycle and then swim the second half of the distance on water, stamina will not increase, and the game will wait until at least one of the individual activities for increasing stamina is completed. In the case of cycling, the choice of bicycle model does not matter, and the game allows you to alternate the use of different models because they all affect the development of stamina in absolutely the same way. And training on a stationary bike and on a treadmill have a common effect on the level of fatigue, and if you do half of the training on a stationary bike and then choose a treadmill, the fatigue will be summed up. Perhaps it will be new to you that fatigue is also summed up between training with dumbbells and a barbell bench press, except for the previously mentioned stationary bike and treadmill. That is, all sports equipment affects the player's fatigue equally, and if the player reaches complete fatigue, all the exercise machines in the gym will not be available to him on the current day. If you don't know the life hack for resetting fatigue when training on a stationary bike or treadmill, you should know that there is no such fatigue for running, cycling, and swimming. CJ can start running or swimming far away and gradually develop his endurance, but this will not be done in one day. Now I will show my test results based on my measurement of the time required to increase endurance. You can see that from continuous running, CJ will gain maximum endurance in 15 hours of real time or 37.5 in-game days. During continuous sprinting, the player will gain maximum endurance in 7.5 hours of real time or 18 days and 18 hours of in-game time. When cycling, CJ will reach maximum endurance in 90 minutes of real time or 3 days and 18 hours in-game. And during continuous swimming, we will need 18 minutes of real time or 18 hours of in-game time to fill the stamina scale to the maximum. And the most important question in this video is how much time does it take to fill the stamina indicator using an exercise bike or a treadmill, using a life hack that resets the player's daily fatigue? The answer may be inaccurate due to the fact that overcoming the distance on exercise machines directly depends on the speed of regular key pressing. Therefore, I will show my personal results. To gain stamina from 100 to 1,000 units using an exercise bike, I needed about 24 minutes and 45 seconds of real time, or 1 day and 45 minutes of in-game time. To gain stamina to the maximum on a treadmill, I needed 11 minutes and 15 seconds of real time, or 11 hours and 15 minutes of in-game time. And it is certainly much faster than trying to increase your stamina stat by running, sprinting, swimming, or cycling. We have discussed various ways to increase CJ's stamina. But what advantages does stamina give us? The player has the ability to use sprint while running. This acceleration can be used for only 13 seconds, after which CJ will switch to normal running, even if you continue to press the acceleration button. But this is the case when our stamina level is equal to the starting value of 100 points. If the player has the maximum level of stamina, then the accelerated run will last 19 seconds, and this is noticeably longer. Increasing the level of stamina will work proportionally to the increase in the possible time for running with acceleration. It is also important to know that when using fast running, after the player comes to a complete stop, he performs a panting animation and rests for 5.5 seconds. The time of such a rest also directly depends on the level of stamina. The most resilient character with 1,000 stamina stat has a complete panting after sprint in 3 seconds, and this is noticeably less than with the starting value. But you need to know that the end of the panting animation does not occur when the strength is fully restored. After CJ has raised his head and completed the pant animation, he always needs a few more seconds of rest so that he can sprint the maximum possible distance. Otherwise, if you start running immediately after the end of the panting animation, the player will be able to run approximately a little more than half of his maximum sprint time. In the case of swimming, the player can swim quickly for 12.5 seconds and then switch to swimming without acceleration for 12 seconds. And a player with maximum endurance can swim quickly for 17 seconds, but after that will continue to swim slowly for the same 12 seconds. That is, the rest time after accelerated swimming does not change, but the swimming time with maximum endurance increases by almost 5 seconds. And now the main recommendation. As you probably already know, in GTA San Andreas there is a burglary side mission, after completing which the player gets the opportunity to use sprint for an infinite time and will not have a panting period at all. The game will seem to start ignoring the stamina system and will allow the player to forget about the time limits for using sprint or fast swimming, as well as the player's need for rest. Moreover, this reward for the completed thief mission will not affect the actual stamina indicator in any way, and it will show us its correct current value. It will be possible to gain endurance by traditional methods further, and you can even achieve daily fatigue after training on gym equipment. But all this will make no sense because the player already has the ability to run endlessly using acceleration and will not need rest after such a run. And the game will not notify the player about the fact of gaining the ability to endless sprint and will simply pay a cash reward after the completion of the burglary mission, and the player must guess the rest himself during the gameplay. Now, you probably know almost everything about stamina in GTA San Andreas, and I want to ask you to put your like to this video and subscribe to my channel. See you later.